This is Sam Connon from Fastball on FanNation and Sports Illustrated, and I'm so happy to be joined today by World Series champion Eric Hosmer, as well as his new business partner, Anthony Seratelli. Eric, Anthony, how you guys doing?
Good, Sam. How you doing, man?
Pleasure, Sam. Happy to be here, man.
Yeah, it's great to have you guys. Eric, we're what, 2 months into retirement now? How's it treating you so far?
I'm getting way too good at this whole retirement thing, man. I'm waking up not knowing what to do on a day-to-day basis. So, no, doing this, being in this new space now, Anthony can tell you overall MoonBall Media, what it has going on. But one of the branches of MoonBall Media is Diggin Deep, the podcast side of it. And I've really enjoyed being able to sit down with a lot of these guys, dig into their stories, dig into a time where, they faced some adversity in their life, how they responded to it. Towards the back end of my career, I really took a liking to looking out for the younger guys and really trying to school them on everything that comes with the game and outside the game and all that. So now that the playing career is over, I wanted to expand that in a way of not just the guys I got to play with and got to know over the years, but hopefully expand that to, kids that are able to log online and watch whatever we have going on from the Digging Deep side.
Nice. And this is your first MLB season, first baseball season in however many years where you're watching from the sidelines. What's that like emotionally, just kind of following your old teams, old teammates, knowing that you're not out there right now?
Yeah, no, it's it's something that's different. It certainly is. And I'm always flipping through the channels the night I'm home to see, how the Kansas City's doing, how the Padres guys are doing, and even Boston and Chicago, a lot of the players that, I got to know and play with over there throughout my last couple of years. But it's definitely a different perspective. It's fun. I get to log on to X and kind of say what I'm feeling about the game, have some fun interactions with the fans now, that type of interaction that I used to have in the locker room, and get on guys. Now I get to get on fans a little bit and not be so guarded and get to let them know who I am, how they feel about stuff. And I've been able to have a lot of fun interactions on X with the fans so far.
Nice. And playing any MLB The Show, just getting your fix that way, or?
I need to. I tell you what, the only time I played MLB The Show in the last couple of years was against Blake Snell, and I think he is ranked around the world in that game. So I don't think that was a smart introduction to trying to pick up the game again for me.
And a little dangerous, scare you off it for a bit.
Yeah. Last thing I remember about MLB The Show, they did during 2020, they did that tournament amongst the players, and I remember how fired up Blake was because he didn't win it.
So Anthony, you retired from playing back in 2016, so you've had a little more experience in your post-playing days compared to Eric. Now that you guys are working so closely together pretty much on a day-to-day basis, how do you think that he's adjusting to it, and what has your relationship been like going from, knowing each other through the years to now working with each other in the media space?
Yeah, man. I mean, our relationship has always been strong from the day we met, I feel. And obviously, even as we split as far as playing for the same team, we kind of held that bond. And getting back together to do this has been amazing. And I think he's taken it on full-fledged, and like really he's crushing it. Like you can hear it if you watch the show, like his personality, again, him getting out there and chirping things on X, people are enjoying hearing from him. So that's amazing to see. It's nice to hopefully, I went through this as well. Thankfully for me, thankfully or not thankfully, I ended on an injury, but I couldn't play. So I kind of had to make the transition. But I had, a business I was trying to run as well coming out of baseball. So it gave me something to do on a daily basis. So it's fun to see him involved in that, and I'm glad that we were able to partner on this. And now he has something to do on a daily basis. It definitely makes the transition, and he's experienced it now. But I experienced it way back. It makes the transition easier for sure. It's like we have something to wake up and look forward to, as far as it used to be our sport and trying to succeed there, and now it's business. We get up and trying to figure out ways to succeed in the business world and put out content that people are going to enjoy and move around and share it. So there's that same sort of drive for us to be successful. It's just not on the baseball field. So it's been fun, man. It's really, we're building our own team now. So that missing the camaraderie, we're kind of bringing it back together, because that's probably the hardest part. And sure, Eric will agree, is losing the camaraderie of the teammates, but we're creating our own team to do just that. So it's pretty fun.
Yeah. So let's dive in on MoonBall Media and the Diggin Deep podcast that you're talking about. Got it rolling a couple months ago now. I know, Eric, on the podcast, it's you, it's Peter Moylan, former Braves and Royals reliever. You got developmental coach Justin Sua, How do you feel, Eric, a couple months into this? How do you think it's going? Just the stuff you've been able to put out, what you're doing behind the scenes. How are you feeling about it so far?
Feeling great. Just solely from a baseball standpoint. Peter and I were teammates in Kansas City for 2 years. Peter's extremely entertaining, extremely knowledgeable with the game, especially on the pitching side. I feel like I can bring that knowledge on the offensive, the hitting side of the game. And Justin Sua is a guy that, the process and development, early on in my big league career, and it sounds crazy to say now, but a big new trend was weightlifting and guys going in the off season and not only using spring training to get ready for the season, but using your off season to lift weights, get stronger, and try and become a better overall player. And I think today's game, the mental side of the game is something that a lot of younger players are really trying to focus on and trying to hone in on. And Justin is a guy that his reputation throughout the big leagues amongst big league players is one of one, in my opinion. There's a lot of big time players, especially the guys that have rolled through Tampa Bay at some point in time, that speak very highly of him. So to be able to put him out there on this platform as well, for not only the big league guys or professional guys, but for the young athletes to hear his insight and be able to share his experiences and his knowledge with everyone, just seems like a really good mix and a really good team, like Telly's saying, that we're assembling over here.
Yeah, and that's really cool you're the hitter, Peter's the pitcher, and then you got on the upper end coaching side with Justin that you're talking about. What is it like talking about the game kind of from this bigger picture standpoint? You're bringing guys in, talking about their personal experiences, but being a little more removed from it now that you're retired. Does it feel different when you talk about it now versus when you're talking in the clubhouse with teammates?
I would say the only thing that feels a little different is there's definitely no guard. I'm not guarded at all in stuff I say or my opinions. I think as a player as well, I didn't feel like I was very guarded, but at the same time, there's certain things that you just don't say and you can't say while you're still competing, while you're still doing that stuff. So I think now, I'm certainly not as guarded. I'm going to share my opinions exactly the way I feel and share my insight on the game and what I think is happening. And so I think that would be the biggest difference. And especially on X, like we're talking about, definitely not as guarded on X when I'm interacting with a lot of the fans. And that's something I've had a lot of fun with.
And then Anthony, you and Eric were teammates in the minors, right? Come up.
Yep. Yeah,
How would you say that he's different as a coworker versus a teammate? Is your relationship still kind of the same as it was, all those years ago in Double A and everything, and staying friends through that to being coworkers? What's that relationship now that you're on a different type of professional level with each other?
Man, I don't think it's any different. I think that's the beauty of why we stayed friends so long. It doesn't matter what level we were playing at or where we're at in life. Like, we've been boys since we met. So from that perspective, as friends, like, I don't think anything's changed. From a business and like co-working perspective, we have to communicate a lot more than we had in the past, and there's decisions that have to be made. So yeah, of course, on that side, we have to figure stuff out. But as far as like who we are as people, I think that's what's drawn us to each other as far as business partners and friendship. That part makes all this a lot way easier. So yeah, man, we're just boys at heart.
Both of you guys obviously strong ties to the Royals. Eric won a World Series there. Anthony spent a couple of years in the minors coming up with them. They've had a pretty hot start to the season. I guess just want to get your guys' thoughts on how you think they're looking so far. A lot of the young guys breaking out, all those moves in the starting rotation looking pretty good. What's it like to see the Royals that you're so familiar with kind of come back up after a couple tough seasons now?
Yeah, it's certainly exciting for us. I know we plan on going out to Kansas City and doing a lot of things with not only the team, but the fans out there as well. So if they're winning ball games, it'll make those times that much more exciting. But yeah, I think what as a fan now, being a fan of the team, what I enjoy and appreciate the most is, they are trying to build within and create young talent that can be good at the big league level for them. But at the same time, they're trying to acquire major league talent and make their team competitive and give their team an opportunity to win the division out there. So they've done that with a lot of bullpen arms, with a lot of key veteran arms. Seth Lugo threw a great game. I'm not sure when this is going to be taped, but the other night against the White Sox, he was, lights out in that aspect of it. The trade last year for Aroldis Chapman to get Reagans, the lefty pitcher that looks really good. there's a lot of things to be excited about, not only on the youth end, obviously signing Bobby Witt for a long time, but at the big league level now, the moves they're making, it's a win now feel with also at the same time trying to find those young players to really build around.
Yeah, Anthony, I guess, do you have any, I mean, Eric, you came up through the system too, but Anthony, knowing that minor league system so well, is it special a little bit to see all these young homegrown guys kind of reach the big leagues and kind of coalesce into a really good major league young core?
Yeah, I mean, I think I know that minor league system just about as good as anybody. I spent a lot of time there at all the levels. So, it's cool to see them doing it. I want to say again, right? Like when we were there, that's exactly what happened. Moose signed, Haas signed, Crow signed, CC signed. Like you can go back, Gordon Butler the years before. So like you can look at that team and I mean, it was almost fully homegrown. It was so close to that. So it's really cool to see them going through that, going down that path again. And I hope to see the continued success. It's been a great start.
Yeah, I know Bobby Witt was one of your first guests that you guys talked to earlier this year. That seems like a fun interview, especially him being the face of the franchise now with that extension and everything. On the pod, you guys have had a couple of big names so far. I know you had Manny Machado, Eric, one of your teammates from San Diego, Ron Washington, John Jay. Would definitely recommend people go back and listen to those. But as for what's next with MoonBall and Diggin Deep, are there any projects you guys are working on that you're looking forward to, or guests coming up on the pod who you think people really want to hear from?
Yeah, I think from the side of other projects, you may have seen we partnered with Cal Ripken. He's going to be an executive producer of a series we're going to do on the long form side of things, so a documentary series. We're excited to have him on board, the Iron Man himself. We have a couple other projects underway there, and then we have some great guests coming up on the podcast too. Fernando Tatis and Jerkson Profar coming up soon. We got Tyler Glasnow, Mike Sweeney, Salvador Perez, Dallas Keuchel. We have so many names coming down the list that it's going to be exciting.
Nice. And then I guess it's been a couple years of this player-centric media movement, I guess you could call it, whether it's podcast, video, people working for ESPN in the booth and stuff like that while they're still playing. I know a lot of people will focus on the Draymond Green podcast and the Kelsey brother podcast, but on the baseball side of things, is there any inspiration or proof of concept that you guys were looking at as you were setting this up?
I just think baseball is a little bit late to this party, like we were all talking about. But the main thing with the podcast that you just mentioned about those guys is the authenticity of it. I think there's you're hearing it exactly how they would tell their teammate about it in the locker room, sitting right next to them. And I think that's something from a baseball standpoint that we're excited to try and loosen that up a little bit. Baseball players have been taught to be extremely guarded on certain things to say, whether it's through the media that can cause a distraction throughout the team or whatnot. But I think now we're moving to a time and place where the fans really enjoy hearing it from a player's perspective, and they feel that the player is a little more comfortable talking about it, whether it's ex-player to player or current player to player. That's something we try to bring, or we're trying to bring to the baseball community.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you got guys going back a while with Dallas Braden, kind of being one of the first guys to do it. I feel like at this point, more people know him for the podcasting and media than they do for the pitching. But I know he and Trevor Plouffe and now you breaking in definitely seems like the movement's reached the baseball world. So just want to thank you guys both so much for coming on to talk to me, talk about the Royals, talk about what you guys have got going on at MoonBall and Diggin Deep. It sounds really interesting. Sounds like you guys have got a lot on the plate.
Yeah, thanks,
Definitely.
Sam. We do. We appreciate you having us.
Of course. I'm sure I'll talk to you guys later. And good luck next few weeks, the rest of the season.
Thanks, Sam.
Appreciate it, Sam. Thanks, dude.